in September. The 5'4" Juarez, a couple of inches shorter than Diaz, yet in a boxing oddity, has the slight reach advantage. At yesterday's weigh-in, both were just a touch over the featherweight limit. Notable rules: no standing 8, no 3 knockdown. A fighter cannot be saved by the bell in any round. If an accidental headbutt occurs before the end of the 4th, it's a no decision. After the end of 4, they go to the cards. So here at the Reliance Center in Houston, Texas, getting set for our main event. Rocky Juarez versus Antonio Cello Diaz, featherweight scheduled for 10. Let's get the official introductions from our ring announcer, the classic Jimmy Lennon Jr.
Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome you to the Reliance Center here in Houston, Texas. At this time, we present our featured bout of the evening, and it's all brought to you by Main Events in association with Showtime and the undisputed king of beers, Budweiser. This bout coming away is sanctioned by the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation. The executive director, William Kuntz. Commissioner of boxing is Leo Vasquez. Our physicians at ringside, Dr. Jorge Guerrero and Dr. Ignacio Alpizar. Timekeepers at the bell, also keeping count of the knockdowns, we have Dee and Sammy Carolina. Introducing our 3 judges, scoring the bout from ringside. From Houston, Texas, Robert Bish. Also from Houston, Lee McCowan, and from Dickinson, Texas, Gail Van Hoy. Our 3rd man to the ring, the referee in charge, is also from Houston, Texas, Robert Gonzalez. All right, fans, here we go. The time has come for our main event of the evening. 10 rounds of boxing in a special attraction in the featherweight division. And now, ladies and gentlemen in attendance and boxing fans joining us around the world, live from Houston, it's showtime! Introducing to you first, ladies and gentlemen, on my right, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing light blue trunks with white trim. He is fighting out of Brooklyn, New York, by way of Jarabacoa in the Dominican Republic. He weighed in at 128 pounds. His record stands at 24 wins, 3 losses, with 11 wins coming by way of knockout. Introducing Antonio Cello Diaz. And his opponent across the ring on my left, fighting out of the red corner, this 10-round attraction, wearing black trunks with white trim, representing and fighting out of the north side of Houston, Texas. He weighed in at 127.5 pounds. His undefeated professional record includes 16 wins, no losses, 12 wins coming by way of knockout. Here is the 2000 U.S. Olympic silver medalist, ranked number 9 in the world by the WBC, number 10 as a featherweight by the IBF. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing the undefeated Ricardo Rocky Juarez. Once again, our referee in charge, Robert Gonzalez.
Gentlemen, both of you professional fighters, conduct yourself as professionals. Give me a good, clean fight. Obey my commands at all times. Good luck to both of you. Touch gloves. May the best man win. Good luck, Rob. Good luck, Bobby.
This one might be a dirty fight. Diaz has been known to use roughhouse tactics. Juarez concerned about head clashing and holding, but the prevailing thought, Juarez just too fast for Diaz, who has been plagued by inactivity of late. 3rd man in the ring is Robert Gonzalez. He was the judge earlier who had the fight closer than anybody else with Diaz and Lorenzo. Here we go. Rocky Juarez in the black with the white trim. Cello Diaz in the silver trunks. Juarez Not a particularly fast starter, but so intelligent and so technically sound. Slowly and methodically breaks his opponents down with a solid body attack. He'll look to diffuse the speed, weaken the body.
You know, Diaz wants to jab and use his boxing skills during the first 4 or 5 rounds of this fight. Then he feels like he can set down on his punches. You mentioned the inactivity. Diaz has only fought 2 fights in the last 22 months, so that's certainly an issue for him.
And he feels, Al, that he'll do better than Hector Acero Sanchez, the former champ, did against Juarez by keeping the jab in his face, keeping Juarez off balance. But with Diaz, the key is whether or not he sticks to his game plan.
Yeah, Nelson Fernandez and Angel De Jesus, his trainer, Fernandez, his manager, say that he often starts out with a game plan but just won't stay with it, and they have to constantly remind him.
Chelo Diaz all about pressure, terrific will and heart. Also a deliberate starter, but he is rugged and durable. A boxer brawler, not a big puncher, but he'll stand in and trade.
Right, step back. Step back.
Very busy.
Early in this bout, you see that Juarez, as you pointed out, is not a torrid starter. He's very patient and builds as the fight goes on. He's allowing Diaz to do what he wants to do right now, is that is stay on the outside and jab. But you see Diaz already being lured into getting within punching range. He has to discipline himself. Diaz does not to do that.
And Juarez not a big one-punch KO guy, but he does do a lot of damage over the course of the fight.
Right.
And a very accurate puncher. Those good combinations. And he has, I feel, an underrated jab. Feels he's become more patient since the amateurs, not wasting punches. But he feels he needs to work more on the body punching.
Oh, right, right.
Antonio Chelo Diaz in the silver trunks. He told us that Chelo actually stands for nothing.
Just got that nickname when he was a kid. His parents gave it to him. Has no idea why.
But it does differentiate him from the welterweight Antonio Tono Diaz, so it helps out the announcers.
Perhaps they knew that when he was a youngster. Good round for Diaz. There he got nailed with a counter left hook. He's got to be very careful about that, but round 1 went the way he wanted it.
So the first round goes into the books, and in this fight, it's a seasoned pro versus a young boxer who fights like a seasoned pro.
The keys to victory for Antonio Chelo Diaz: double the jab. You have to throw Juarez's rhythm off. Only 2 jabs can do that. Don't stay on the ropes. The center of the ring is where he wants to be, where Juarez can't land the body punches. And don't throw wide left hooks. John Michael Johnson knocked him down when he did that. For Rocky Juarez, the jab is very important. It makes him about a 50% better fighter. He's one of the best body punchers in boxing. He can't vary from this. He's not a one-punch knockout artist, so combinations are important. Here we see a classic 3-punch combination against Jason Perez. The double left hook and then the straight right hand. Juarez does this as well as any young fighter in boxing.
Rocky Juarez doesn't surround himself with a large entourage. He's one of those no-frill guys. Just has trainer Ray Ontiveros, who's been with Juarez since he was 13. Then there's his dad, Pedro, who's in his corner. He's got his mom, Melinda. That's it. Rocky recently moving out of his parents' house. His folks so proud. His mom keeps Rocky's silver medal from the Olympics in the house. Ricardo Rocky Juarez in the black trunks with the white trim. His father wanted to name him Rocky Marciano Juarez, but his grandmother stepped in and said, keep the Rocky, but lose the Marciano, because Al, the translation in Spanish is Martian.
He would have been an interesting ethnic combination.
Yeah, and extraterrestrial, too.
Exactly.
The first extraterrestrial featherweight in history.
Now there's Chelo Diaz ripping the hook to the body. He wants to show that punch, but he's got to be very careful, because if you trade hooks with Juarez, you are asking for serious issues. there's that jab you talked about of Rocky Juarez. They want that punch from him so much, and it's a punch he fails to use sometimes.
Step back, break. Box.
Coming up to the halfway point of round 2. Chelo Diaz missing wildly, and he's going up against a very, very good defensive fighter in Juarez.
The distance between these two fighters has already narrowed, and that's not good for Antonio Chelo Diaz, who was fighting very well against John Michael Johnson, a former champion, when all of a sudden in the 3rd round he got nailed with a big left hook when he tried to throw a wide left hook, and there's a very real danger of that happening to him again here against Juarez if he doesn't stay on the outside and jab.
Juarez, if you followed his career, nothing fancy or spectacular, but he does do the job. Likes to work from close range, almost has to because he's only 5'4". Chelo Diaz has some answers there.
Now the combination punching though of Juarez. He took a round to begin to throw combinations. When he does throw those combinations, though, he's very, very effective, and he punishes fighters. You know, against Archuleta, he had him down twice, and it's swelling around his left eye until he finally knocked him out. Big right hand there by Juarez.
Explosive right hand. Rocky Juarez connecting to the head.
Step back, both of you. Step back. Box.
Yeah, I asked him how to rate Archuleta. He said Archuleta was a 6, Chelo Diaz an 8 on the scale from 1 to 10. You could tell in the Olympics, Juarez had the tools, the intelligence, and the ring savvy to go a long way in the pros.
Okay. That was beautiful. Good patience. Joe, come up here, Joe. Good patience. That was good patience, but you need to drop in that right hand, son. Good patient round. I want that jab solid. Lead off with the right hand once in a while. You caught him with the right hand. It wasn't nothing. Okay? You got nothing up there. Lead off with the right hand once in a while.
We think of Rocky Juarez as a left hook artist, but he has a very good straight right hand. And in this case, he uses it against Antonio Diaz. Nice punch that landed on the forehead of Diaz. And we look at it again. It is a punch that is set up with the left hook, interestingly, not the jab, but the right hand came behind it, and Diaz was nailed with it.
Ray Navarros, who was just talking to Rocky Juarez, told us yesterday, opponents are expecting the left hook, expecting the body punches by his man Rocky Juarez. So they have been working on other dimensions, other things to extend Rocky Juarez's career, like the right hand.
We saw Juarez yesterday before the weigh-in. He had a little piece of ice and a towel sucking on it. Didn't even want to take a glass of water. I think sooner rather than later, he's going to have a hard time making the featherweight limit. Perhaps he'll win a title at that weight, but it wouldn't be shocking if he had to actually move up a few pounds. I think it's getting to be a strain for him to make that weight.
And you can see tonight he was just a tad over the featherweight limit at nearly 128, and who knows what he is coming into the ring. Could be in the 130s easily.
His only issue, of course, is, as you pointed out, he's a short fighter, but the way he fights, he can get around that because he's working on the inside, getting on the inside, working the body. But, of course, he'd like to try it in the featherweight division first. Now, Diaz has, as we suggested, completely changed what he wanted to do. He is now an aggressive fighter, staying in front of Juarez. We'll see if this serves him well. In theory, it shouldn't, but he's been very aggressive and done a good job, Diaz has in this round.
He has the height advantage. But it's just so tough to keep a guy like Juarez off of you.
There you see Juarez coming in with the head, Steve, and that, of course, or rather Diaz, and that's what Juarez is concerned about, clash of heads.
He told us that the worst experience he ever had with cuts was in the amateurs. It happened in the first round, and he was very, very leery that the referee would stop it because, you know, they have a tendency to do that when there's a bad cut. But his trainer, Ray Navarro, stepped in front of him and covered him up, and the ref couldn't see it. So he went into the second round and stopped his opponent.
And Ray is a pretty good girth, so he could get in there.
He really comes in handy. Blood now a little bit on Juarez under the right eye, upper cheek area.
It's been a pretty good second round here for Diaz, or third round, excuse me. He is fighting well in this round. Even though he's been aggressive, he is getting the punches in a little better than Juarez.
Interesting how both these fights have developed here, with Juan Diaz having his hands full at times, some perhaps anxious moments with his opponent, Lorenzo, and now Juarez up against a tough customer here.
Neither of these men coming in were opponents that were coming in here to lose. They weren't, and they aren't. And we're seeing evidence of that here this evening.
Well, Diaz is Juarez's second opponent with world title experience. The first, the aforementioned Hector Acero Sanchez, who lulled Rocky into a dull performance here in Houston. Crowd getting on Chelo Diaz, who pumps his chest.
Vamos a dejar la mierda. Listen, you got a fucking jab, all right? Let's work on that eye con el japeo. Son 60, all right? Respírame. Estamos listos. Pero no te me duermas, man. Él no puede hacerla con japeo, man. Él no puede entrar. Respira.
Tratando de que tú te duermas allá adentro.
Respírame. Respírame, loco.
Bueno, no seas bueno.
Chelo, respírame.
Eres bueno después de la pelea.
Chelo, respírame.
¿Ok? Respírame, Chelo. Vamos, Chelo.
Here's where Antonio Diaz kind of leads with his head. He's coming in, and there you see how that head tends to kind of sneak in there a little bit. And that is what Juarez is very, very concerned about. And that may be preventing Juarez from coming inside to throw some of the body shots that we would normally see.
The congenial Angel de Jesus with some colorful language in the corner of Antonio Chelo Diaz, who incidentally purchased a couple of miniature chihuahuas earlier today at a dog show, which is located adjacent to this arena. A miniature chihuahua. How could you get smaller than a regular chihuahua?
That seems like an oxymoron, but
What'd you call me?
You know, they want the jab from Diaz. That's what Angel de Jesus was in a colorful way explaining. And the fact of the matter is, if he doesn't, even if he is aggressive, he's got to throw that punch. Now, we're still early in this fight, but Rocky Juarez staying on the outside a lot more than I think they want him to. I'm confident they would like him to be moving in more. Ray Tavares would like him to be jabbing his way in and then working once he gets on the inside.
Rocky Juarez wearing the black with the white trim. 16-0, 12 knockouts.
Right, step back.
Antonio Chelo Diaz in the silver, 24-3, 11 KOs.
I know it's very early in this fight, but this is not an energetic performance by Rocky Juarez. And my mind keeps wandering back to that discussion we had with him when he was sucking on that ice cube, and you got the feeling that he really wanted something to drink and something to eat before that weigh-in. So I'm not suggesting that's the big issue, but it could be.
Right, step back.
He might be a little weaker than he wants to be.
And we did discover in Jim Gray's interview with Juan Diaz earlier that Diaz was not feeling 100%. He had a cold. So he was somewhat sucking it up. We always make a point in the fighter meetings, as I see a little trickle of blood under the right eye of Juarez and a smacking left hook to the neck area by Rocky Juarez. Seems to be coming on a bit here. Maybe has a second wind all of a sudden.
Look at Diaz when he uses the jab, when he doubles the jab. And you know, the difference in hand speed that should be evident in this fight isn't, except it's Diaz who's looking quicker with his hands. Juarez, in theory, is supposed to be.
But we make a point of asking all the fighters in the fighter meetings if they have any problems whatsoever, physically, mentally, psychologically.
Right, watch the head.
And Juan Diaz said nothing, and it's understandable. He didn't want word to get out, perhaps, to the opposition. And I'm sure Juarez isn't going to spill the beans either if there's anything bothering him. Nice, but you have to ask the question.
Absolutely, and we won't know if that's true until after this fight. Nice combos by Juarez on the inside, but still the hand speed edge is going to Diaz.
I'm just glad they don't ask me if I have any psychological problems, because we'd be there all day.
You would take the Fifth Amendment.
Stop. Okay, Rock, this good round. This round, we're going to do this round. We're going to come down now. Put them head down. We're going to do this right now. I'm going to do the board. You're standing straight up, son. Bend down. Give me a little more of a 45. Bend down a little bit more when you're bobbing and weaving with your head. Keep doing that. But when you're bobbing and weaving to the left, shoot that body shot. Okay? He's not going to touch you there. Bend to the right, hit that body shot. You understand?
Rocky Juarez certainly wants to use the left hook whenever he can in this fight. There's the jab of being effective and not really getting those hooks in. That's the point. And we feel like Juarez should be the quicker fighter with his hands. Not so tonight. Chelo Diaz throwing combinations. Now, all those punches are not landing great, but he's the one that's throwing the combinations in this fight.
Not sure we mentioned it, but Chelo Diaz actually sparred with Francisco Lorenzo, a 135-pounder, in preparation for Juarez.
90 rounds of sparring by those two men. So they did a good job of getting each other ready for these important fights in their career. They are we heard Rayan Taveras explaining to Juarez, and it is the two issues for him. He's standing straight up, and he's not jabbing his way in. That is not good for him. That's when he could be picked off from the outside by a big, tall fighter like Diaz.
On Taveras, who has been with Rocky Juarez since he was 13 years old. A well-known trainer here in the Houston, Texas area. There's a good left body shot by Rocky Juarez, right to the gut. And has to take something out of the opponent. Got to see more of that.
Now, Chelo Diaz, we mentioned he's fought for a world title back in January 2001. Istvan Kovac, who he lost to in Germany in a TKO in the 12th round. It was a very difficult situation. They certainly felt like the deck was stacked against them in Germany, but Kovac fought well in that fight. But that kind of experience against adversity helps Diaz when he comes into this kind of hostile environment. This seems like nothing. Good combinations by Juarez.
Juarez all of a sudden with a bloody side of the face. His right ear.
Juarez has picked up the pace, and he's going to need to.
Good left hands by Rocky Juarez. The left hooks are scoring. There's an overhand right that connected right near the nose of Chelo Diaz.
The last minute of this fight might be the best sequence for Rocky Juarez. And I think that gash on his head came from a clash of heads.
It's usually Chelo Diaz who is fueled by the taste of his own blood. It looks like it's the other way around here in round 5. Juarez coming on stronger after tasting his own blood.
And he might be winning what was a round that Diaz had controlled for most of the beginning of it. And of course, judges are notorious for remembering the last minute and a half of a round better than the first minute and a half.
Juarez cut only once in his professional career in his 3rd fight. And of course won that. But the worst one was the one we talked about in the amateurs.
What a difference a jab makes. Somebody should write a song like that, because Diaz, when he throws that jab, is so much more effective.
I think Johnny Mercer did.
I believe you're right.
Yes. Final seconds, round 5 as the action heats. Both guys landing.
That was good. That was beautiful. Now you're doing your angles. That's what I want to see, son. Whenever you break, you body shot. You break, do not stand straight up. You're still doing a little, after you did beautiful for 2/3 of the round, you start standing up. I can't do that. Can't afford that, you understand? You sideways, boom. Sideways, boom, then you go straight. But first of all is your body shot. Foremost. Break left, break right, body. Break left, body. And then you go to the head. And don't come up straight. You stay down at your 45. Got it? So last this round. He just stays there. He's going to come to, he's going to kill himself. He's going to knock himself out, buddy. You got it? Okay, let's go. Let's work. Just keep your cool.
Great camera work. Nice close-up of that gash on the right side of Rocky Juarez's head. And you can see the damage that was inflicted by the head clashing between Juarez and Chelo Diaz, and the ubiquitous Joe Souza, who had his hands full with Vitaly Klitschko recently.
He did a great job.
Yeah.
A fascinating comment by Ray Ontiveros in the corner. He said, he will come to you, he will knock himself out. Here's what he meant. He meant that Diaz would continue as he did in the last round to lean forward and be open for that left hook by Juarez. That's what they're banking on, and Diaz has done it, but so far, Juarez has not been able to land that punch as flush as he would like.
One thing Diaz is hittable. Sometimes his punches are too wide. He leaves himself open, vulnerable to uppercuts on the inside, which can be a key weapon in Juarez's arsenal. We'll keep a lookout for that. Instead, it's the left hook that continually scores.
And there's the hook. And the right.
Big right by Juarez. That's the second big right administered. That was effective by Juarez tonight.
And here's where Chelo Diaz makes his mistake. Instead of using the jab and fighting tall and staying on the inside, he's leaning in and giving Juarez a great opportunity.
Take a look at the press row scoring. Very close by John Whistler.
And I have it exactly as John Whistler, 48-47. I have it for Antonio Diaz.
And Whistler from San Antonio, the Express News. Chelo Diaz complaining a moment ago towards Robert Gonzalez, the referee. The logo slippery, which we have seen countless times.
This is a critical juncture in this fight for Chelo Diaz. If he stays on the inside with Juarez, he could be in huge trouble. He has got to use this ring and jab.
Antonio Chelo Diaz proving to be yet another learning experience for Rocky Juarez.
You know what's been absent in this fight, and there you see a little of it, is the combination punching that we showed during the keys to victory for Juarez. He's not putting his punches together as well as we have seen in other instances.
You're right. One of his strong points, fluid combinations, good rhythm. And it's usually been one and done here thus far. Here's the jab, but he didn't follow it up with the right.
But this sixth round has been one of his better rounds in the fight, and he's certainly winning it, and maybe making a statement for the rest of this fight.
Now Chelo Diaz digging to Juarez's body, a little taste of Rocky's medicine.
This is great action.
Really. Diaz is game.
Okay, Rock. Okay, back to your basics now. Back to your basics. Jab, jab, 1, 2. Basics, 1, 2, break. Okay? Basics, 1, 2, break, body. 1, 2, break, body. That's all it takes right now. Keep your hands up. Do not drop them hands. Hook off your jab. Left hook off your jab once you get in close. That shot is going to do it for him. That body shot. Jab, hook up the jab.
Put him on my head.
You know what I said? Hook up the jab. That's good. You begin to run. Don't run after him. Just wait. Pace yourself. Pace yourself. He'll come to you.
They did a nice job, did Joe Souza, on the gash on the right side of Rocky Juarez's head. Juarez seemed to be trying to get his wind between rounds there more than anything else, between rounds 6 and 7, as he was listening to the instructions by Ray Ontiveros.
You know, Nelson Fernandez, the manager of Chelo Diaz, told us that he thinks Diaz is in the best shape of his life. And we're seeing evidence of that. He's been hit with some big body shots, but he is sustaining in there against Juarez. And as we head down the stretch in this fight, both fighters will be tested in terms of conditioning.
Which is intriguing as we take you back to the point about Diaz, the inactivity of late. No
yeah,
ring rust.
which it is fascinating. 2 fights in 22 months, and yet he has looked sharp. He has done a very good job in this fight. I have the fight dead even at this point, 57-57.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah, his last fight in April, before that 11 months before that 9 months before that.
See, Juarez is waiting. If you are Rocky Juarez, you cannot wait and fight on the outside. You're shorter than most of your opponents. You're not going to be standing there boxing and jabbing with them. You need to jab your way in and then work. This is not an energetic performance by Juarez. He's fighting in spots. That's not characteristic of him.
No punches. Step back.
Chelo Diaz having more experience going deep. We're not there yet, but he's been 10 rounds 10 times, and he's won 9 of those 10. Juarez has been 10 rounds just once.
Don't move. Step back. Step back. Back.
We're in round 7.
This has been a very lackluster round for Rocky Juarez. He's almost taken it off. And Diaz, while he hasn't been hugely active, has done a lot more than him and should have done enough to win this round so far. But of course, there's 54 seconds left.
And now Juarez told us that he learned a lot in the Acero Sanchez fight. Look out now.
Big right hand by Juarez.
Juarez scoring there. He got the attention of Chelo Diaz and wallowed him momentarily. But look at Chelo Diaz wailing away, coming back. He's not connecting, but he's showing a lot of guts.
Couple of right hand, one right hand got in, but it is interesting. Chelo Diaz can't deal with his prosperity. He won't stand back and just box.
And that's part of what you were talking about earlier, the stubbornness
Right. Step back.
that he exhibits sometimes. And the only time he starts to listen to his corner is when he's in trouble.
But of course, it makes for a more exciting fight. Two great jabs by Diaz. A fantastic round for Chelo Diaz.
And Diaz with 2 more good jabs, following up with a right to the ribs. A very good round for the defiant Antonio Chelo Diaz coming into Rocky's backyard.
Respírame. Okay, respírame. Respira, papi. Come on, breathe, baby. Come on, breathe. Hey. Todavía tus hijos. ¿Ah? ¿Y que los hijos tuyos aquí? Esto me duele más joven. I got a Q. Some more water, Q. Respira. Eso no es nada, Chelo.
Breathe, breathe.
Esto es que tú estás fuerte, right?
You're stronger.
Ahora empieza a ponerme la derecha donde pones el jab, ¿ok?
Just do what you gotta do. Breathe, breathe.
La derechita ahí cortita, ¿ok?
Otra vez.
An utterly terrific round for Chelo Diaz. Even though Rocky landed that big right hand, Diaz had a spectacular round, landing jabs most of the round, and they're fighting Juarez on fairly equal terms, even after he got hit with a big right hand. So for Chelo Diaz, an important round. And for Rocky Juarez, this is a key juncture in this fight and the early part of his career. This fight could be on the line.
Very pivotal right here. Now, Chelo Diaz, no slouch. He's a former featherweight champion for New York State, former world title challenger. We've documented that he did get in there with Istvan Koko Kovacs of Hungary. Lost that fight for the featherweight title, the WBO version. And so he's got a lot of experience. And it looks like he's putting it to use here against young Rocky Juarez, just 23.
We have not seen Juarez this lethargic in most of his fights, Steve. I think
Only once.
Yeah.
Against Hector Acero Sanchez. And I was about to say earlier when that right hand scored by Juarez, it took me out of the thought that in that fight he told us that he learned to become more assertive when his opponent lays back. Well, this guy's not really laying back.
No, he isn't. He is boxing from time to time, but he's not running. And Rocky Juarez has not been aggressive enough to get to him. He's not done that. Used the jab and jabbed his way in as they wanted him to. And that's been a big issue.
Pretty good body shot there by Chelo Diaz. He just raced in, lunged. Now left hooks. Downstairs and upstairs, a right hand. It's old Chelo Diaz.
And see, when he's on the inside, Diaz, that's where Juarez should be making something happen, and he's not.
You would think that the taller Chelo Diaz would take advantage of his size, his height, and keep it on the outside. Instead, he's the one coming in, and Rocky Juarez, the shorter fighter, can't get much accomplished.
And let me tell you something else about what Diaz is doing. His body work just as effective as Juarez.
Rocky could be in some difficulty here, score-wise. All three judges are from here in Texas. Under a minute left, round 8.
By the way, Lawrence Cole and Robert Gonzalez have done a spectacular job of refereeing tonight. They've been active when they needed to be and have done nothing when they needed to do nothing.
What do they say? The sign of a terrific referee is when you don't see much of him, and that's been the case here with Robert Gonzalez. He stayed out of it and gotten in when he had to. Like right here.
2 good body shots by Juarez, but they have been few and far between. And with 2 rounds left, 2+ rounds left in this fight, Juarez is going to need to find another gear.
And you never know. Oh, good doubling up of the left hooks by Chelo Diaz. First to the head and then to the body. You never know. Right hand by Chelo Diaz.
Lean on him. Hold it. Stop. Stop.
And that was effective as well.
Stop.
Right, we got 2 to go, son. We got 2 rounds to go. We're in tip-top shape. Give me a little stronger round this round. That was a weak round. It wasn't too sharp. Circle to the right. Get away from this guy. Do not wrestle with him. Circle to the right. Circle to the right and go to the body. You forget the body shot, son. Don't forget the body shot. That's crucial to you. Huh? Got 2 rounds to go. Okay? Keep your hands up. You're standing right.
For Antonio Diaz, while we knew he was going to be effective on the outside, he is the one throwing left hooks to the body and the head. When he does that, Rocky Juarez is supposed to outhook him. It didn't happen in that round. And here's veteran's tricks, getting his shoulder in there. There's the double left hook. No way is Diaz supposed to be able to do this against young Rocky Juarez, but the 29-year-old did, and he's fighting the best fight Diaz has fought in about the last couple of years. He's just been superb.
Rocky Juarez, you really have to wonder, going back to your point, if the weight has something to do with this performance. He's a little over the featherweight limit, which is fairly unusual for him. And Antonio Chelo Diaz, much inactivity of late. You wonder where he's getting this energy from.
Well, Nelson Fernandez told us, and he was very emphatic about it. I've known Nelson in boxing for many years. He's a pretty honest guy. He said, this guy's in shape, and boy, is he ever. Chelo Diaz is outworking Rocky Juarez.
Maybe it's all that pizza he sells, you know, carbohydrates. Eat that pizza.
Apparently, they'll be. I'll tell you what, the way he's fighting, win, lose, or draw, he'll get quite a welcome back at the Pizza Palace.
You got that right. Here's the press row scoring.
Well, I'm not on board with that scoring. 2 of the judges having Rocky Juarez way up. I have Antonio Diaz up 77-75. I can't imagine Juarez being ahead by 4 points. That's how 2 of the ringside press row people have it. We don't know how the judges have it.
You better get another towel.
A lot of moisture in the Chelo Diaz corner, so the fight has been halted momentarily by referee Gonzalez. But they're not doing anything about it. No toweling off. They'll have to wait for between rounds. There goes the mouthpiece of Chelo Diaz off of a right hand, I believe. The impact of that punch by Juarez knocked the mouthpiece out of Chelo Diaz. This guy's got some chin, Chelo Diaz. Juarez perhaps sensing as he slips that he may need a knockout here.
No knockout.
Robert Gonzalez doesn't know the mouthpiece is out, and Chelo Diaz has to tell him. A very important rally for Rocky Juarez. If it's enough to get him this round, it might get him back in this fight.
And the canvas is extremely slippery right now. Could be very dangerous. The fans urging Rocky Juarez. They want the knockout.
Did Juarez give everything he had in that sequence? That's also a question. Here comes Diaz back. He's the one with the energy after that stoppage in action. Long time left in this round still.
Both fighters turning it up another notch. 50 seconds left in round 9. Chelo Diaz connecting to the head.
And it's Diaz who's been more active here.
Nice left hook to the jaw by Juarez. But it's Diaz on the attack. The aggressor coming forward, pressing. Great action. Left hook that's scored by Juarez to the chin.
Strategically, it's bad for Diaz, but for us, it's really good.
It's a fans fight. Furious action.
Here is where Rocky Juarez went down and he slipped. Now, he was hit with a punch, but I think it's very clear that his leg slipped on the logo. But because the punch landed, you could make the case that it was a slip, or that it was a knockdown. But clearly, his leg did slip on the logo. And Juarez coming back with a vengeance. Diaz putting himself in a position where he could be hit with the left hook, and Juarez happy to oblige. But you see Chelo Diaz, he gave no quarter in that round.
I thought that was a slip as well. Juarez has never been down, pro or amateur. Chelo Diaz 2 times, both against Istvan Kovacs. Here we go. They touch gloves. Round 10, 10th and final. Juarez has been this distance once. He's 1-0. Chelo Diaz has been 10 rounds 10 times, 9-1.
I think it is safe to say that the issue could very much be in doubt. I have Diaz up by 1 point.
Oh, it is awfully close. And it feels like we're in a Sylvester Stallone movie as they chant Rocky.
And Rocky Juarez may need some high drama to pull this one out. It's certainly a very close fight, but Diaz has done very good work in this bout.
He may need a proverbial Hollywood finish,
Now, one thing that Chelo Diaz is doing that is giving Rocky Juarez a chance in this fight is he is fighting small, but he's getting away with it because he's so aggressive. Instead of staying back and using his jab and using his height, he's coming in against Juarez, but he's been effective with it for the most part.
I reiterate, not that I'm hinting of any impropriety, but all 3 judges are from here in Texas. We are coming up on the halfway mark of round 10. The final round. Oh, left hook upstairs and down goes Diaz. He's waving it off. No count. It's over. Talk about your Hollywood finish. Gonzalez to stop it immediately.
Tranquilo. Tranquilo, te quedas ahí.
A resounding left hook.
One small, subtle thing. Chelo Diaz tried to get up. That was astonishing. He hit his head on the mat. He was hit with a huge left hook. Still tried to get up. And this crowd, of course, delirious because they sensed the danger of Juarez possibly losing a decision. We don't know how the judges had it, but it was an amazing left hook. And we said it. This man, Diaz, for all the good he did, kept putting himself in harm's way by staying in front of Juarez, and it finally cost him.
The ringside physician, Dr. Jorge Guerrero, examining Antonio Chelo Diaz. Boy, just pandemonium here when that knockout punch came. What a finish by Rocky Juarez. And this sellout crowd loving it.
They love him here in Houston. He is just a delightful guy to be around. And they have every reason to like him, and he's a very good performer in the ring, but he learned something tonight. Here comes the left hook from Rocky Juarez. It's his money punch. Chelo Diaz languishing on the inside. Got hit with one there. That was foreshadowing of what was to come. And there was the beautiful left hook. And Diaz, just after that, tried to get himself up. Couldn't quite do it. Of course, he was nailed with, that's a tremendous left hook right on the jaw. He walked right into it. Kind of what Ray Ontiveros was suggesting earlier, that he would knock himself out by making himself available to that left hook. Leaning in, he's leaning in with his head. And the left hook by Juarez got him out of there at a time when there was danger looking for young Rocky Juarez.
Yeah, he may have made that dramatically unbelievable. We'll wait and see what the scores are like.
Here is Juarez on the inside. There's the left hook before it, and here's the one that landed perfectly right on the point of the chin, and it was a very short left hook, and there he tries to get up. Oh, what a game athlete. I mean, give him all the credit in the world.
And that was an excellent observation on your part. You actually saw him raise his head and try to make his way up despite all the difficulty. What an electric, explosive ending to such an exciting fight. Let's get the official word from Jimmy Lennon Jr.
Ladies and gentlemen, with a time of 1 minute 33 seconds in round number 10, he's the winner by way of knockout and still undefeated, Ricardo Rocky Juarez.
In theatrical fashion, Rocky Juarez able to put Antonio Chelo Diaz on the canvas in a compelling finish. What a left hook.
In both these matches tonight, we saw two young fighters in against very, very good veterans. They both escaped very narrowly, and these were two terrific fights.
Rocky now 17-0, 13 knockouts, his fourth straight KO win. Let's get it up to Jim Gray. Should be most interesting post-fight reaction. Jim.
All right, Steve, thank you very much. First things first, Dr. Jorge Guerrero, the attending ringside physician, tells us that Antonio Diaz is okay, that he never lost consciousness. He was up on the stool and he is fine, and there will be no problem. Now, congratulations to you, Rocky. First things first with you, you seem to lack some energy tonight. Was there a problem making some weight?
No, not at all. First of all, I want to thank the Lord for giving me the strength to be victorious today. You know, Chelo Diaz had plenty of time to get prepared, and I myself had enough time to get prepared, but I knew it was going to be a good, tough physical fight, and that's what it was today. It was a tough physical fight. A lot of holding, a lot of headbutts. It was somewhat a dirty fight, but, you know, sorry to say it took 10 rounds to finally land a good punch.
Were you surprised at the fight that he gave you? We don't have the cards yet, but Al Bernstein had you behind by 1 point, rather going into the final round.
Well, you know, I didn't feel I was behind. I felt the fight was good, tough. As far as, you know, he was hitting me a lot.
You didn't feel you needed a knockout in the 10th round?
Not at all. I didn't feel like I needed a knockout. You know, it was very difficult to land my body shots, and that's one thing I'm very used to. It was just the fact that I didn't want to run into a headbutt. You know, the way I was moving my head, I was trying to avoid headbutts, but still I was still landing into his head. So if I take nothing away, I mean, Diaz came to fight, and that's what it was. Today was a very good fight. And
he was very successful in the 7th and the 8th rounds. Were you concerned at all that he was scoring and scoring at times with ease?
Well, you know, he never hurt me in the fight. He was landing some good punches. A lot of punches were landing on my gloves and top of my head.
What happened to the back of your head there?
You know what? I don't even know. Matter of fact, I do remember it was a left hook that he threw, and I ducked under it, and he hit me with his elbow. So I kind of felt that it was a cut, but in a way, it was just so fast. And in the heat of the moment, the battle, you know, you really don't really try to worry about it.
All right, Rocky, let's take a look as we come into the 10th round here. That vicious left hook that you were able to deliver here to knock Diaz out. As we roll it, tell us what's going on.
Well, you know, the right hand left hook was a punch that I worked on in the gym. Right there, I said, okay, I planted my feet and just the left hook. That was a punch we worked on in the gym, and you know what? I never really threw it in this fight until that round.
Did you seem to notice, because it appeared to me on several occasions that he was looking at your right foot throughout the fight. Did you notice him looking at the ground at your feet?
You know what? I was glad for the fact that the referee didn't call that slip a knockdown. We were both slipping on this canvas. He landed the punch as I was falling. It didn't knock me down, but it was the water, the corner, the water in the corner. But I'm very glad the referee didn't count it as a knockdown. But we were both having difficulties with this canvas, and
so that's why you feel he was looking down at the ground?
Yeah, I think he was basically telling the referee that the floor is wet. At times I thought he was hurt, and he was just trying to make the referee stop the fight, but I was telling the referee to be aware of the water myself. So, you know, we were both into this fight today, and I'm just very glad I came out with the results.
You're fighting here in your hometown. You feel it's surreal at any time when they're chanting Rocky, and you feel like you're back in a Sylvester Stallone Rocky Balboa movie, Rocky, Rocky, Rocky.
You know, I know fighting here in my the city of Houston, all my fans were going to be out supporting me, but I didn't try to let it get to me, try to make me get out my fight game. You know, basically Diaz came to fight, and I think everybody who fights me comes at their best. For the fact that I feel this is my 17th pro fight, and Diaz is he's no slouch, a former world champion, a very good fighter. You know, it was a tough fight. I can't say it wasn't a tough fight, but I got the job done.
Rocky, congratulations. 2 knockouts for you in the 9th round, now 1 in the 10th round. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, Steve, all that was missing was Mr. T and Apollo Creed. Back down to you.